Upon returning home from the front line, Russian soldiers committed at least 211 crimes with human casualties, including 114 murders, resulting in 139 deaths, 64 cases of grievous bodily harm with 64 victims, 20 traffic violations resulting in the deaths of 31 people. Verstka publication calculated. As a rule, the crimes are committed by previously convicted Russians who were recruited for the war against Ukraine. Many of them, after being wounded, return not to the prison to serve their sentences, but to Russian cities and villages. And almost immediately they commit repeated crimes, while the victims are usually women.
This has increased the violence against women in Russia, which already is on a very high level, with thousands of women dying each year as a result of domestic violence. There is no law in Russia distinctly criminalizing domestic violence or gender-based violence. Many of them who return, and this is an emerging trend, have been perpetrating new violent crimes to begin with against women, against girls, against children, including sexual violence and killings. Mariana Katsarova, United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights issues within the Russian Federation, Voice of America publication quotes.
The inevitability of repeated crimes and the highest crime rate in Russia over the past 13 years, more than 400,000 serious or especially serious crimes, is directly linked to Putin's previously signed decree on amnesty for criminals fighting in the Russian army.
A stream of criminals poured into Russia from the war, notably especially dangerous criminals recruited by Prigozhin, and he preferred to take those who are not afraid of blood. The boom occurred when it became impossible to hide it, and the attitude towards it changed. In the summer of 2023, it became clear to us that no one feels sorry for the Russian population. Putin pardons cannibals, killers, murderers.
They kill, rape and rob. This is how Putin's so-called new elite behaves. More than 120 residents of the Korenevsky district of the Kursk region have signed a collective appeal to Putin. According to locals, dozens of stores and residential buildings were looted in the village and nearby settlements. These thefts were carried out by the Russian army.
There were no Ukrainian military personnel in the urban-type settlement of Koreneva for a single day, but all the shops, petrol stations, pharmacies and surviving residential buildings were broken into and looted. Yes, the counter-terrorist operation regulations allow unhindered entry into any premises, but this regime does not give participants the right to commit crimes, rob and steal. People personally saw how men in military uniform broke into houses, shot dogs, entered houses, shops, pharmacies, warehouses, and took out and took away property, says the collective appeal of residents of the Korenevsky district of the Kursk region, Current Time publication quotes.
Russian authorities do not react to the facts of looting due to the lack of manpower and the impossibility of completely capturing the Donetsk and Luhansk regions of Ukraine. The Kremlin is taking not just radical decisions, but also ones that are absolutely alien to any common sense. The State Duma of Russia has adopted two laws. The first will allow contracts with the Ministry of Defense to be signed not only by those already convicted, but also by those who are under investigation. And thanks to the second one, criminal cases of those who signed a contract with the Ministry of Defense will be suspended and then closed. It turns out that one can commit horrendous crime in Russia and then be set free after going to the war against Ukraine. From the point of view of the theory of criminal law, this is a disaster, because our main task of criminal law in general, the creation of any punishments, is to correct the defendant. When correction cannot be achieved in any way, instead of correction, he is simply sent to the front, where, as we understand, no set of procedures for correction purposes exists. All this will only worsen the situation in Russia in general. If these people continue to come back, including, for example, receiving a state award, then this entire criminal situation and a number of crimes that these people will commit will only grow. Artyom Kliga, lawyer, in an interview with Current Time. Criminal prosecution is completely terminated after receiving a state award, the end of the so-called special military operation or loss of life or health. Reported by Yulia Granovska, Pavlo Stelmach, UETV News.